Hello, viewers. You're welcome to the BNS podcast today. And here we have Dr. Emily. Dr. Emily, you're welcome to the BNS podcast this Sunday, okay?
Hi,
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm very well. I'm very well, Dr. M. Now, Dr. M, your story is very unique and very mind-blowing, okay? Because you crossed the boundary, you pushed yourself even after having your injuries, okay?
Mhm.
And I would love the audience to hear about this because I cannot be the only one to hear about this, okay? Now, first of all, I know my audience would like to know about you. Now, my first question is, who is Dr. Emily?
So, I am a doctor of chiropractic who has gotten their specialization to do animal chiropractic. So, I work primarily with horses and they're riders too, but I prefer the horses most of the time.
Uh,
I've been
yeah.
riding horses my whole life. I think I could ride horses before I could walk. So, um, I don't really know life without them at this point, to be honest with you. And I've got two dogs here that are begging for my attention. So,
All right, that's wonderful. You've heard it from the horse's mouth, and that's Dr. Emily. Now, Dr. Emily, your journey into animal chiropractic began at the age of 5 at the birthday party, right?
correct.
Now, people at 5, they don't know what to do. They don't even know what they will become. But in your own case, you knew what you were going to become at the age of 5 at the birthday party. Now, can you put us through the process of how that happened then?
So, when I was 5, I went to one of those classic, cheesy little 5-year-old birthday parties where you would go to a horse riding facility basically and just do like a little party, and you would ride horses around and do little gymnastics and I've been riding horses ever since. My parents were never horse riders or anything like that, and um, I just went and went on a pony ride and started taking lessons the next week, and I've been riding horses ever since. So
Wow.
um,
Wow.
yeah, I didn't know how to. It was I think it was I was born with it. So
Wow. Wow. That's wonderful, Dr. M. That's really, really wonderful. Now let's move a bit from who Dr. Emily really is, okay? Now I would like you to take us back to when you had the accident with your horse. I know it was terrifying and the whole process and everything. So I would like the audience to know. Take us back to when you had the accident with your horse. How
mhm.
did you go?
It was really bizarre because I was going out to grab a horse that I had ridden 100 times. It actually wasn't my horse. It was at the time I was just taking lessons, and um, I went to grab this horse out of the pasture, which is something I've done a million times. Right, you go out to the field, you grab them, you put their halter on, and then you bring them back to the barn. Um, this was a baby horse. He was maybe 4 or 5 years old at the time, and it was a really cold morning. So if you think of dogs, right, when it's cold, they get the zoomies.
Exactly,
They
yeah.
run around acting a fool and doing whatever they want to do. And this 4-year-old horse, which for horses is very young, they're still considered babies at 4 years old. Got the zoomies, for lack of a better term, and I was actually standing by his head to put the halter on to lead him back to the barn, and he decided he wanted to get the zoomies, and he ducked and bucked, and his back leg kicked me right in the forehead.
Goodness. Oh
So,
my goodness.
so yeah, it was scary at the time. My poor husband, I say he had it worse than me. He was actually there and saw it happen, which he's not usually at the barn with me, so that was kind of a freak incident. But he I hit the ground, and of course, to be a chiropractor, a lot of people don't know this, but it's a 4-year doctorate degree. So we go through a lot of emergency training, CPR, all sorts of stuff. And I hit the ground. And by the time I went to open my eyes were already swollen shut. So just not to get too graphic here, but my nose, they had to pull out of my face, and both eyes were swollen shut. So I was laying on the ground. I couldn't see. So I asked my husband, I was like, can you call someone? I tuned into him and I heard him saying, oh my God, he kicked you in the head. You're dead. My wife's dead. She's dead. She's dead. I was like,
He
hello.
said,
I'm
he
here.
really said, "Wife is
Yeah.
dead?"
I was like, I'm not dead. I'm here.
Yeah.
Can you call
Yeah.
someone? No, that would be great. And so I remember telling him, like, hey, can you call the barn owner? He's like, I'll call an ambulance. I was like, well, the barn owner is here, so she'll get us to the hospital faster. So why don't you call her? And he's like, what's her name? And so I told him. And he's like, how do you spell it? You have too many Jennifers in your phone. And so I spelled it out for him. He's like, why are you not freaking out? And I was like, because someone's gonna keep it together here.
Of course. That's true.
So
That's true.
yeah, next thing I know, she was in the field and I was in the car and they took me to the hospital, and then the rest is all kind of a blur, honestly. So
Wow, that's really terrifying and amazing at the same time, because
mhm.
your husband and you're dead, but you're still alive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Wow, that's terrifying to hear. Now, from your post on IG, you posted 10 things you learned after your accident, and
Mm-hmm.
there's related with me one, and I wrote it down, and I'll read it for you right now. You said, don't take your health for granted. It can disappear in the blink of an eye.
Mm-hmm.
Resonated with me so much. And I would like you to talk about it. Because there were so many things you posted. You posted 10 things. But this particular one resonated with me. And you said, I repeat, don't take your health for granted. It can disappear in the blink of an eye. And that's very, very true. Please, can you talk more about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So being a chiropractor, especially for animals, is no easy feat. It's a very physically demanding job. And it's amazing, that's something, like I said, going out to the field to grab a horse and bring them back so I could ride them is something that I've been doing since I was 5 years old. And so you go out expecting for it to be just like any other day. And all of a sudden you're on the ground and you can't see and you can't breathe out of your nose. And so from there on out, I mean, I had surgeries for the next 3 years to where my life, was changed drastically to where I couldn't work. I couldn't ride horses. I couldn't do any of these things that I mean, still to this day, I can't smell and I can't taste.
So, you mean you can't smell and you can't taste?
Correct.
Still,
And everyone always says, oh, was it COVID? And I was like, not quite. But yeah, so that really, something that I've done a million times was different this one time, and it has changed my life ever since. I mean, it's been almost 3 years now since the accident. So
Wow.
yeah.
That's really wonderful. So the thing there is that people don't really know how their health matters, because
Mm-hmm.
once you, that's when you realize that your life is very, very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
Because you never knew that could happen to you. Like,
Right.
you've done that for a million times, and
Mm-hmm.
that part changed something in you.
Absolutely.
Okay, and I really, really do understand. All right, Dr. Emily, that's fine. Now I would ask, during your time in the hospital while going through these challenges, do you have any, I mean, during then, did you have any support system, trying to take care of you, trying to be there for you? Because some people out there are having challenges and they are doing this alone. There is nobody to support them. They're just doing it alone, trying to recover. It's quite different when you have a support system that
Yeah.
could be there, talk with you, be there for you,
Mm-hmm.
bring you, try to make you happy. So
Yeah.
in that moment when you were in the hospital, during that phase,
Mm-hmm.
did you experience any support system, maybe from your loved ones, from your parents, from your husband? Can you
Yeah.
just, about it? Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely my husband, of course, he's like, the fact that he still is 100% supporting me to still ride horses is just crazy to me. I mean, if he had been injured this badly, I'd be like, you are never doing this again. I am not. And he didn't grow up with, yeah, exactly. And he had never grown up with horses. So he was just at this time when the accident happened, starting to get comfortable with horses. And then I get injured, definitely the most significantly I've ever gotten injured around horses, in my lifetime. And he was there and saw it happen. So the fact that he was there and still supporting me to ride is just insane. But yes, he was in the hospital with me nonstop. At the time, two or 3 years ago, COVID was still in the back of everyone's minds. And so the hospitals, they were taking precautions. And so they were weary about who they would let in the room. And typically they didn't let people stay overnight, but they were kind enough. They let my husband stay in the room with me. And my mother, of course, he called my mom and his mom right away. And they both were in Georgia. They both live out of state, and they were both in state and in the hospital that day. So the three of them were there pretty much the whole time. One of my best friends drove from North Carolina to see me, probably 2 or 3 hours away, just to make sure everything was okay, help us with our dogs, who are being obnoxious over here, help us with our dogs. And, so just the fact that they were there to help my husband, because my husband was so worried about me, that meant the world, because of course it takes a toll on him as well. I know I was the one that was hurt, but I'll say it a trillion times. Like, he was the one that truly had the hard part, because he had to manage the dogs and manage the horses and manage the house and do the laundry and make the food. And, he had to be the caretaker, because all I was doing was trying to stay alive at that point. So, I was really fortunate that I had a support system, but also that there were people that were there and showing up for him as well.
Wow, that's really wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Kudos, because it's not that easy to be there for your.
Yeah.
It's very, very difficult, because there are people out there that are facing this. They don't have any support system. People have things they're doing. They're going to work, can't leave what they're doing just because of you. Yeah. I mean, everyone have a support system, because with that you could recover even faster and even better. You understand? Yeah. Yes. All right, that's fine, Dr. Emi. Thank you very much for that. Now, my next question is, you've gone through the process of healing. Okay. Now, my next question is, what does healing mean to you now? Because before now, I guess maybe you've not had this type of accident before. You might not know what it really mean. But now you've gone through the process. Yeah. What does it really mean to you?
So there's a lot of different layers to that question, because I truly believe that I wouldn't have healed as well or healed at all from this accident if I hadn't have been relatively healthy beforehand. I've always tried to be proactive when it comes to health, in terms of eating well and exercising and, being careful what I put in my body and on my body and around my body and all of that sort of stuff. Because I know that my body works really hard every day to keep me alive, especially when accidents happen that are unexpected. And I think, I don't want to say I was lax with that, because I think I'm pretty good about it, but I've definitely taken it one step further since then, to do everything that I can to support my own health and wellness, everything that's within my control. And, I don't want that to sound like I'm, I eat really well, I eat healthy, I work out, I don't smoke, and, I'll drink socially, I'll have some drinks, but nothing crazy. And so that's really important to me in terms of being proactive with my health. But, also I don't know if you saw this as well, but I'm also type 1 diabetic. So being healthy is a lot different for us in terms of we have to manage our own blood sugar. And so prioritizing that absolutely as well.
Wow, that's a lot to take in, Dr. M. That's a lot. All right, that's fine. We'll just go for a short break now, and when we get back, I have a very important question for you. Okay, let's go. All right, we're back again. If you're just joining us, this is Dr. Emily. She's an animal chiropractor. She's also an equine, yes, an equine sports massage therapist. Is that correct?
It is, yep.
Thank you very much for joining us again, Dr. M. Now, my next question for you, Dr. M, is now, what advice do you have for someone struggling to bounce back from injury? Because, like I said earlier, there are people out there who are struggling. They are really, really struggling, to bounce back from injury. Now, someone out there might be watching this, and they are gaining inspiration from you because through that process, you got injured, and you got a support system before you back to what you do best. Okay, that's not easy. As easy as it may sound, but that's not easy because there are people who are still struggle to even bounce back their normal life, try to go to work, try to cook, try to even walk around their neighborhood.
Yeah.
But okay. So now what advice do you have for people struggling to bounce back from challenges or from the injury?
Oh, this is a heavy question. There's so many aspects of recovery. And I feel like people hear it all the time, but healing is never linear. For me, I'll give you an example. For me, my process was I had 3 facial reconstruction surgeries over the span of 2 years. And after each surgery, I felt better, but there was always, you would get better and you're excited that you made it through another surgery, but then, you would start to improve and then you'd have to have another surgery. And so then you felt like crap again, right? And so you get better and then you feel like crap again and you get better. And, even though you go back down, the trend is still upwards. And sometimes that's really hard when you're going through it to understand that you are still trending in the right direction. And with that comes a lot of other feelings of, for me, it was, I'm never going to be able to taste again. I love eating food. My husband is a phenomenal chef, and not being able to taste for 2 years was awful. He was like, oh, and like you're traveling and I love to travel. And people are like, oh my God, that smells so good. I was like, oh, what's it smell like? And so just that constant pull back to reality of, life's not the same as it used to be. And, you have those feelings of that sucks. And it does. I'm not saying that it doesn't. And, I totally want people to feel those feelings because it's really important. Like, I think a lot of people feel like, oh, they need to be positive. I know I did. I was like, oh, I need to stay positive. I need to stay happy, or I need to pretend like everything's good. And it's okay to have a bad day when you're recovering. You know what I mean? Like, not all parts of yes, I'm grateful I'm alive. And yes, it could have been a lot worse. But some days along the recovery just sucked, There were days when I couldn't breathe and I had the worst headache of my life and I couldn't see. And there were whole days where I couldn't even open my eyes because I had such a bad headache. But now, almost 3 years later, we're living life again. So even though there are bad days and it's okay to have bad days, just know that the better times are coming. I guess that was a really long-winded answer to your question, but I feel like I know that there's a lot of people that are where I was 3 years ago, and that was a really hard place to be in. So just know that it will get better would be my advice, or my words to the people who are struggling currently.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. M. You've done justice to that question. And to our audience out there, you've heard it from her. Just try to stay positive. There will be bad days,
Mm-hmm.
but enjoy the good days that comes with it. Okay? Thank you very much, Dr. M. Okay, now my next question for you, Dr. M, is now you've returned back to your band, you've returned back to your life.
Mm-hmm.
Now, has there ever been a time or a day that you ever felt fear, returning to your horses? Because people have this fear. Like maybe, let's say somebody's involved in a car accident, you see
Mm-hmm.
people to enter a car for some time. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so do you ever have that feeling? If yes, how did you come around it?
Mm-hmm. So I think one of my biggest fears after the accident, I think I had more anxiety that I would be afraid of horses,
Oh,
which let me, like I told you earlier, right? Like I've been around horses my entire life. I was terrified. I didn't know what my life was going to look like without horses because they've always been, you know, therapy for me. It's my outdoor time. It's my exercise. It's like the place where I can let my mind just be. And I didn't know what my life would look like without horses. And so when I couldn't be around them for 6 months to a year, that's all I thought about was how am I going to live my life without them, right? I made my career around horses. If I can never see a horse again, what am I going to do for work? What am I going to do for fun? What am I going to do for exercise? Like I had no idea. All my friends were horse people. And then I got back to the barn, and honestly, the first time I went back to the barn, I don't think I even touched a horse. I think I just watched a bunch of my friends ride. I just sat there and I was like, okay, I can do this. I can sit here and watch my friends.
yeah.
And then every day I just, the next day I was in the barn. And then the next time I went, I just touched a horse. And,
Oh,
the fact that I took my time with it helped a lot because now in hindsight, I had more anxiety about being scared of horses than I actually was afraid of the horses, if that makes sense.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
That
it's
does
kind
make
of it's kind of crazy, and I understand the car accident too because two
yeah.
years after my accident, I was in a car accident and broke my wrist, and
Oh,
so
really?
it's been
Wow. It,
it's been
it's
a
been
it's been a
happening.
time. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So
Wow, wow. It has actually been a lot, Dr. M. You've passed through all these challenges and you're still standing strong, Dr. M. Is
mhm.
not I give you it's not
Thank
easy
you.
at all.
Thank you. If
Yeah,
I can do it, everyone else can too.
yeah,
There's nothing special about me that makes me stronger than other people. It's just, you got to be resilient and you can't give up. And you just got to make the most of a bad situation. So,
yeah, exactly. Thank you for sharing that with us, Dr. M. That's really and I hope someone out there is listening to this and hope this would also resonate with you so that you can also come out of, your challenges that you've been
mhm.
having. Just be strong. Everything will be fine. Thank you again for that, Dr. Emily. All right,
Absolutely.
Dr. Emily. Now, there's something we do often on our show.
Hmm.
Now, we call that a drop-off question.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, the last guest answer the drop-off question. Then, after answering that, they will also give the next guest, regardless of who the guest will be. They don't know who you are. If
Hmm.
they are now, there's a drop-off question for you. Okay, and we would like to answer that. So the drop-off question goes like this. I guess that would be very good for you because you've already said it all. And the drop-off question is, why do you do what you do?
The best way to answer it is because I love it. Um, there's very few things now that I do that I don't love because it all could have been gone in the blink of an eye. And, at this point, if I don't love it, then I don't do it because it's just not worth the time at this point. So do what you love and make it. I mean, it sounds so cheesy. I cannot believe I'm saying it, but honestly, I mean, life's so short and it can be taken from you so fast that if you don't love it, it's not worth it.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually wonderful. Starting from this show, you've already said it, you've been a lover of this practice since when you were 5 years old at a birthday party. That means you've been doing this because of the love you have for it. And even after the accidents that you had, you're still riding horses and, doing your daily activities, which is really, really, really great. Okay, now, Dr. Emily, what's your question for the next guest? Regardless of who the guest is, you can ask anything in the world, anything.
Let's see. I think I would want
Anything.
to know. I feel like I would want to know we'll just ride the theme. What about, like, in their darkest days, what kept them going?
Come again,
So
please. Come
in the
again.
days where they were having really hard days, and the days where they, were trending up and they had the sucky days in recovery, like, what was it? What was the one thing that kept them going? What was the light at the end of the tunnel?
Okay, so what was the light at the end of the tunnel? Okay, so that's the question from Dr. M to whoever that will be coming on the show next week. Thank you very much for that, Dr. M. Now, I will also ask, where can people find you, Dr. M? People, if they want to reach out to you to learn more about, how you, pass through these challenges, where can people?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely Instagram's a good way to do it, which you have my Instagram. It's dr.em.loftus, so my name. And, you had mentioned that maybe sometimes people don't have a support system. So if those people who are going through a hard time and need a support system ever need one, they can definitely reach out to me as well, and I'll be their hype woman.
Exactly. That's very wonderful. So you heard it all, our audience. Dr. M would always be there for you, waiting for you to message her so she could put you through whatever challenges they are going through. Okay. Thank you very much for giving us the time, Dr. M. I know you've had other things to do, but you actually made out time to come for BNS podcast. Okay. Thank you very much for that. So I'll be giving out a shout out to the people at the back end, the people that make all these things happen every Sunday. Shout out to Mario Michael, shout out to Favor, shout out to Mena, shout out to David, shout out to Obi, and shout out to Mr. Ike for making this happen every Sunday. Every Sunday. Please, guys, you can go ahead and follow Dr. Emily. She's a very nice person. You've heard her story. We appreciate you for coming to the show today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Thank you very much. In our 3 famous words, love, peace, and more grace. Thank you very much, Dr. M.
Thank you.